There's a moment that doesn't make sense, but you feel it every time you're around him. It's not loud, it's not obvious, it's quiet, intense, almost electric. The way his eyes find you in a crowded room, then quickly pretend they didn't. The way he starts to say something, pauses, and chooses a safer version instead. And right when the connection feels real, when it feels like he might finally let you in, he steps back. Not fully gone, just far enough to make you question everything. And that's the part that pulls you in deeper, isn't it? Because confusion creates curiosity, and curiosity keeps you hooked. But here's what most women never realize. This isn't random. This isn't mixed signals the way people casually label it. This is a man in conflict, a man who feels something strong, something he didn't plan, something he doesn't fully understand yet. And instead of leaning into it, he resists it. Because real feelings come with risk. They come with vulnerability. And for many men, that's unfamiliar territory. So what you're seeing isn't a lack of interest. It's controlled interest. It's desire held back. It's him wanting to get closer while convincing himself to stay in control. And the tension you feel? That's real. That's the space between what he wants and what he allows himself to do. And once you understand that, everything changes. Because now you're no longer guessing what he feels. You're learning how to read what he's trying so hard to hide. There's a pattern you've probably noticed, and it's confusing in the most frustrating way. He comes closer, emotionally, not just physically. Maybe he opens up a little, shares something personal, or gives you a kind of attention that feels different from how he treats everyone else. In that moment, it feels easy, natural, like something real is finally building. You feel seen, you feel chosen. And just when you start to relax into that feeling, just when you think, okay, this is going somewhere, he shifts. He pulls back, his messages slow down, his energy changes. It's not cold, not completely distant, just enough to make you feel the difference. And now you're left trying to figure out what changed. But here's what's actually happening beneath the surface, and it's something most people misunderstand. That moment when he got close to you, it wasn't casual for him, it wasn't light, it meant something. And that's exactly why he pulled away. Because closeness creates exposure. It makes things real. And when feelings become real, they come with questions he may not be ready to answer yet. What does this mean? Where is this going? What if I lose control? So instead of moving forward, he pauses. Not because he doesn't feel anything, but because he felt too much in that moment. You see, some men are comfortable with surface-level interactions. Jokes, flirting, light conversations, those feel safe. But the second it shifts into something deeper, something that could actually matter, it activates a different side of him, a more cautious side, a side that wants to slow everything down so he doesn't get overwhelmed. And the easiest way to do that? Create distance. Just enough space to breathe. Just enough space to feel like he's back in control of himself again. And this is where many women get it wrong. They see the distance and assume it's rejection. So they try to close the gap. They text more. They seek reassurance. They lean in harder, hoping to bring him back to that moment of closeness. But what they don't realize is that pressure does the opposite. It makes him pull back even more. Not because he wants to lose you, but because now, on top of his own emotions, he feels expectation. The truth is, when a man pulls away after getting close, it's often because that closeness affected him more than he expected. It touched something real, and instead of knowing how to handle it, he retreats to process it in his own way. Quietly. Internally. Without explaining it out loud. So the real power here isn't in chasing him when he pulls back. It's in understanding what that pullback actually means. It's not the end of something, it's the beginning of something he's trying to understand. And how you respond in that moment, that's what determines whether he feels safe enough to come closer again, or whether he stays stuck in that distance a little longer. There's something subtle, almost invisible, that happens when a man is trying to hide what he feels, but can't fully control it. On the surface, he's trying to act normal, calm, composed, like nothing about you affects him any differently than anyone else. And if you only looked quickly, you might believe it. But the truth isn't in what he tries to show, it's in what slips through when he's not paying attention. Because when a man is fighting his feelings, normal becomes an act. and no act is perfect. Watch him carefully, not in an obvious way, but in the small moments most people ignore. Around others, he's steady. His words flow easily. His body language is relaxed. There's no hesitation, no second guessing. But then you enter the picture, and something shifts. It might be small, almost unnoticeable at first. Maybe he stumbles slightly over his words. Maybe he pauses a little longer before replying. Maybe he teases you more than usual, like he's trying to keep things light so they don't become too real. And sometimes it's even the opposite. He becomes quieter, more reserved, like he's suddenly aware of every move he makes. That shift matters more than anything he could say directly, because when a man is unaffected, he doesn't think twice. He just is. But when he's trying to control his emotions, every interaction with you becomes something he manages. He starts choosing his words more carefully. He holds back certain reactions. He may even overcompensate, acting extra casual, extra distant, or even slightly indifferent, just to convince both you and himself that nothing deeper is happening. But emotions don't disappear just because someone wants them to. They leak. In tone, in timing, in energy. It's in the way his eyes stay on you just a second too long before he looks away. It's in how he remembers what you said earlier and brings it up unexpectedly. It's in the way his mood subtly shifts depending on how you respond to him. These are not calculated behaviors, they're reactions. And reactions are honest. And here's where it becomes powerful for you to understand. This isn't about him being bad at communication or confusing for no reason. It's about internal tension. He's balancing two things at once, the desire to get closer to you and the need to stay in control of himself. And those two forces don't move in the same direction. So what you see is inconsistency. Not because he doesn't know what he feels, but because he's not ready to fully express it yet. Most women, when they sense this inconsistency, start questioning themselves. Did I do something wrong? Did his feelings change? But the truth is, this behavior isn't about you losing value. It's about you having impact. You affect him enough that he can't be fully relaxed, and at the same time, he's not ready to fully lean into that feeling. So instead of focusing on the words, he says, pay attention to the contrast in how he is around you versus everyone else. That's where the real story lives, because when a man is trying to act normal but can't quite pull it off around you, that's not distance. That's emotion trying to hide and failing just enough for you to see it. There's a version of jealousy that doesn't come with words, no accusations, no claims, no direct questions. It's quiet, controlled, almost invisible if you're not really paying attention. And that's exactly the kind of jealousy a man shows when he wants you, but is still fighting what he feels. Because the moment he admits jealousy, even subtly, he's admitting that you matter to him. And right now, that's exactly what he's trying to keep under control. So instead, he hides it. Not perfectly, but just enough to make you question what you're seeing. You'll notice it in small shifts. You're talking to another man, laughing, engaged, completely in the moment, and suddenly his energy changes. He may not interrupt. He may not say anything at all, but something about him becomes tighter, more focused, less relaxed. Maybe he goes quiet. Maybe he pulls his attention away, pretending he's uninterested. Or sometimes he does the opposite. He becomes slightly colder, slightly distant, like he's creating space between you and him without explaining why. And here's the key. It's not about control. He's not trying to dominate the situation or claim ownership over you. If anything, he's doing the opposite. He's stepping back, holding himself in check, making sure he doesn't reveal too much. Because showing jealousy would mean showing vulnerability. It would mean saying, without actually saying it, I care what you do. I care who has your attention. I care more than I plan to. And that's a line he's not ready to cross yet, but emotions don't follow rules. They don't wait for the right timing or the perfect situation. They react in real time. And when he sees you connecting with someone else, something instinctive kicks in. It's not logical. It's not planned. It's emotional. And even if he tries to mask it, his behavior will reflect that internal reaction. You might notice that after moments like that, he becomes slightly off. Maybe his replies are shorter. Maybe he seems distracted. Maybe he pulls back just enough for you to feel it, but not enough for you to fully understand why. And that's where the confusion comes in, because if he cares, why not just say it? The answer is simple, even if it's frustrating. Saying it makes it real. And right now, he's still trying to manage how real this feels for him. There's also another layer to this. When a man is fighting his feelings, he often convinces himself to stay neutral, to not get too invested. So when jealousy shows up, it challenges that story he's been telling himself. It exposes the truth he's trying to avoid. And instead of leaning into it, he suppresses it, hoping it will pass. But here's what you need to understand. Hidden jealousy isn't random. It doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from attachment, from interest, from emotional investment that he hasn't fully admitted yet. So if you see those small shifts, those quiet reactions when your attention goes elsewhere, don't dismiss them. Don't overreact either. Just recognize what they are, a glimpse into what he feels but isn't ready to say. Because sometimes the strongest emotions are the ones a person tries the hardest to hide. There's a quiet kind of attention that most people overlook because it doesn't look like attention at all. It doesn't feel loud or obvious. It doesn't come with big gestures or dramatic moments. Instead, it shows up in something much more subtle: memory. And when a man is trying to fight his feelings, this is one of the clearest signs that something deeper is going on inside him. Think about it. He remembers the small things, not just the big, obvious facts about you, but the details you didn't even expect him to notice. The random thing you said once in passing, the way you take your coffee, a story you shared weeks ago that you don't even remember bringing up. And when he brings it up later, it catches you off guard. You think, wait, you remember that? Now here's the interesting part. A man who is emotionally detached doesn't carry that kind of detail. His mind doesn't store what doesn't matter to him. But when something or someone starts to matter more than expected, the brain naturally starts paying closer attention. It doesn't even feel like effort. It just happens. He listens differently. He observes more carefully. He absorbs things without realizing it. But at the same time, he may be trying very hard to act like he's not affected. So you get this contradiction. On one side, he's trying to stay composed, distant, maybe even slightly indifferent. But on the other side, his memory is doing something completely different. It's holding on to you in ways he didn't plan, and that's what makes it so telling, because when a man is truly not interested, things slip through. He forgets. He moves on. Conversations don't leave a mark. But when he's fighting feelings, even the smallest interaction leaves a trace. He might not admit it. He might not even understand it himself. But later, those details come back naturally, and he uses them in conversation without realizing how revealing it actually is. Maybe he references something you said in a way that feels too specific. Maybe he asks about something you mentioned once, as if it's been on his mind. Or maybe he surprises you by noticing changes in you that others completely miss. These moments aren't calculated. They're not part of a plan. They're reflections of attention that goes deeper than he's willing to admit. And here's where it gets even more interesting. When a man is trying to suppress his feelings, he often tries to act like everything is casual. But memory doesn't follow that intention. You can't force yourself to not care and still selectively remember everything about someone. The two don't align. So what you see is emotional inconsistency, behavior that says one thing, but awareness that says another. This is also where confusion often grows, because you might think, if he remembers all this, then surely he feels something. And you're not wrong to notice that. But at the same time, he may still be holding himself back in action. That gap between what he knows and what he shows is exactly where his internal conflict lives. So the real meaning of this sign isn't just about memory itself. It's about attention that he didn't intend to give, but couldn't stop giving anyway. It's proof that you're not just passing through his mind casually. You're staying there quietly, consistently, even when he's trying to act like everything is normal, because people don't remember what doesn't matter to them. And when someone keeps remembering you, it usually means you've already started to matter more than they're ready to admit. There's a difference between someone who is truly done and someone who is trying not to feel too much. And point 5 sits right in that space where emotion and control collide, because when a man is fighting his feelings, he rarely disappears completely. Instead, he stays just close enough, not fully present, not fully gone. And that in-between space is where most confusion is born. You'll notice it in how he shows up. It's not intense, it's not overwhelming, it's not consistent either. It's small touches of connection that seem random at first. A message out of nowhere. A simple check-in, a reaction to something you posted, a short conversation that doesn't go deep but still happens, and then silence again. Then again he returns, and that cycle is important, because if someone truly had no interest, there would be no return at all. Distance would be clean, final, easy to read. But here, it's different. It's controlled inconsistency, like he's testing how close he can get without letting himself fall too far. What's really happening underneath is internal resistance. Part of him wants connection with you. Another part of him is telling himself to slow down, to not get carried away, to stay in control. So instead of choosing one direction, he exists in both. He steps in, then steps back. He reaches out, then retreats. Not because he's playing games, but because he's managing emotions he doesn't fully understand yet. And from your side, it feels confusing, because the energy is never fully gone, but never fully stable either. You start to wonder, why is he still here if he's not fully showing up? And that's the exact question that reveals the truth. People don't keep small connections alive with someone they feel nothing for. Effort, even small effort, still requires emotional space. There's also something deeper in this pattern. When a man is trying to suppress his feelings, he often uses distance as a form of control. But complete distance feels unnatural when emotions are still active. So instead of cutting things off, he creates just enough interaction to satisfy the pull without letting it grow too much. It becomes a balancing act between desire and restraint. You might also notice timing plays a role. He shows up at moments that feel random but emotionally charged. When he misses you a little, when curiosity builds, when silence gets too loud, that's when he reaches out, not because he planned it, but because he felt it. And then, once that moment passes, he pulls back again to regain emotional balance. And this is the part most people misunderstand. They think inconsistency means lack of care. But sometimes, inconsistency is what happens when care is not fully accepted yet. When someone hasn't decided what to do with their feelings, they don't leave completely, but they don't stay fully either. So what you're seeing is an absence. It's controlled presence. It's someone trying to stay connected without losing themselves in the connection. And that middle space, where he stays just close enough, is often where the strongest feelings are quietly hidden, waiting for clarity that hasn't arrived yet. So when you look at all these signs together, the real picture becomes much clearer. It's not about guessing anymore. It's not about overthinking every message, every silence, every shift in his mood. It's about understanding that sometimes people don't act based on what they feel right away. They act based on what they're ready to accept. And that's the key here, because a man who is fighting his feelings is not a man who feels nothing. He's a man who feels something he's not fully prepared to deal with yet. That's why his behavior moves in patterns, close, then distant, present, then quiet, engaged, then controlled. It's not randomness, it's internal resistance playing out in real time. But here's something important to keep in mind. You don't have to chase clarity from someone who is still finding it within himself. You don't have to overextend your energy trying to decode every shift. The truth is, real interest doesn't stay confusing forever. It always finds a way to become consistent when it's ready. Your role in this is not to force answers, but to observe behavior without losing your own balance in the process. Because the moment you start overinvesting in decoding him, you stop focusing on yourself. And that's where emotional exhaustion begins. So instead of asking, what is he doing? A better question becomes, how does this connection make me feel consistently? Because clarity doesn't just come from him. It also comes from your own emotional experience. If this spoke to you, stay with this kind of awareness. Learn to read actions without losing your peace in the process. And remember, the right connection doesn't keep you stuck in confusion. It slowly replaces confusion with calm understanding.